Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Bonnie Violet, trans, femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, digital chaplain.
And I'm Pacey, transmasc, non-binary, mental health and recovery advocate.
And welcome to Trans Joy Boise, where every story, laugh, and act of joy is a stand for our community.
We uplift bold voices, share real experiences, and celebrate trans lives thriving.
Tune in, connect, and spread the joy, because trans joy is unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Nailed it.
Yes,
nailed it. Yeah.
It's been a journey.
It has been quite a journey with that, yeah. But it is beautiful out today.
Yeah, it is.
And we have the door open, and it's so nice. Like, just real quick, I was telling my partner, it's like, it feels like when the sun's out, I'm actually alive. And like, that sounds like seasonal depression. Like, no, I just feel like we're meant to be in the sun.
Just need some vitamin D.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we have a guest with us today, and would you like to just kind of introduce yourself and tell us what you're all about?
Sure. Well, my name's Elliot. I'm local activist here. I'm also the chair of the local chapter of the Pink Pistols, which is a queer-centric and ally-friendly gun club. We provide education to our brothers and sisters out there and our allies about firearm safety as well as personal defense. Yeah.
Awesome. You said activist, huh?
Yeah.
You have a little bit of a history?
I do. So like, well, there's little bits here and there for
what you feel like you want.
Good causes. So in the 90s, I'd show up for a lot of the teachers' rallies. Teachers definitely were there for me in ways a lot of support structures weren't. Mm-hmm. So I'd always be there for them as well. So it's like when the payroll rallies in the 90s happened, I was definitely there to help support. I had big signs. I would climb things and yell. Mm-hmm. Just about, what is it now? 15, maybe 18 years since the Add the Words campaign.
It's 10 years since the hearing, but I know there was some advocating before that.
Yeah. So there was a bit of advocating. I didn't join it right at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. I heard about it from a wonderful friend of mine. And my partner at the time and we'd show up for a lot of the rallies. And then we started seeing a lot of the legislative pushback. So we decided that we were going to take our stubborn selves and be there for our pushback. We were both one of the, 140 some odd people got arrested. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were one of the original ones.
Oh, really?
I spent some time in a processing cell, we'll call it, at county. We were bailed out pretty quickly though, which was very nice. It was donated to us. But yeah, we sat in the Capitol and people would deliver us goodies, and we made sure that we would remind people why we were there. Mm-hmm. Speak up when we needed to speak up.
Oh, that's cool.
Made sure that we would speak at testimonies. That's really like such an issue, I believe, to be crucial for our survival here now in these times. Is you got to show up to these hearings. You got to be there for the testimonials. You have to speak up. If we don't speak up for us, literally no one else will. Yeah. Maybe one or two, but it's not going to be enough voices. So we have to be out there representing the best parts of us, right? Yeah. If we convince them that we are the good people that we are, I think that's a good way to move forward. I know Idaho is going to be a really hard battleground to do that. Yeah. But if Montana can do that, 21 senators, Republican senators changed their minds after the testimonial of one trans person. There were other trans people there, of course, but it seemed very effective after one.
It's tricky here. Like, and they use these stupid bullshit tricks. Like for HB 270, there were so many people against it. We had it packed, and all these people signed up to give testimony, all of these things. And there were a few people there in support of it. But the way that because it was at the Senate level, so the way that they handled that was we're going to make it even. We're going to let 3 people argue for and 3 people argue against. So that way, and I found out later that this is like a pretty common tactic. That way, when they look at the records, it'll look like it was very evenly divided, when in reality, there were a ton of people there that were against it, but they didn't even get a chance to speak.
That's wild. Yeah.
I think it makes sense on like being able to hear from both sides, like at the right level, but some way, somehow, everyone who shows up needs to be counted in some form, especially I think when it comes to voting.
Oh yeah, well, because for HB 264, they let all of us speak, and there were so many of us that gave testimony, and there were maybe 2 that were for it, and then of course, like that still went on to pass, but it's just, it feels very stacked against us.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be, I think.
Well, a lot of the times it doesn't even feel like they've already made their decisions.
Yeah,
they're not going to say or do anything. They're looking for a gotcha moment of somebody slipping up, saying something a little whatever. Doesn't even have to be whatever, and they can decide to go off with one of their like weird questions.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from, but I remember their initial plan was to leave their opposition in trauma, basically, is to just demolish it as much as you can.
Yeah,
leave us scrambling, which, I mean, that's it's proving pretty effective so far. We're not seeing, I believe, enough of a pushback. It's got to be like it is when it comes to actual activism.
Yeah,
like you can't just wait for the moment. It has to be as soon as you get that chance.
Yeah. Well, I think it's tough because we're a small group of people. You know what I mean? So even if we all came out, which isn't possible, we still would be lacking in a lot of ways without the support of our allies and stuff. Whereas, for instance, like when there was the marriage thing, there was tons of people who were able to come out for that. And, you know, we don't quite have that same sort of backing or support that maybe some of the other topics or things connected to the broader community can really bring more people to.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's entirely accurate. I definitely believe if we back other causes, they're going to see that we're not just about us, right? We're not just about our legislation getting passed. We want other people to have their fair share too. The veterans issue right now, we have a lot of trans veterans who could use our support, and beyond just our trans veterans, like our cis veterans need our help too. Same with our trans and cis elderly. Their social security right now is being deeply threatened. And I don't know about you, but I want my parents to have that security. I want strangers to have that security. And it's wild, but it's pretty much going down exactly as planned. It's just trauma. But who better to go through trauma, right? Come out the other side
than us.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It is. I think, though, it's important to take a break. That's something that I've been talking to a lot of my members recently, because a lot of them joined recently because there's this knee-jerk reaction to this volatile, violent, looming threat that we have. We're just constantly, it seems like every day there's a new set of bills that are trying to be passed that just threaten our very well-being, let alone rights. We're seeing a lot of people who are scared, and I don't blame them. I really don't. It's scary times. But that knee-jerk reaction to go out and buy a gun is what we're seeing. And that, while I understand that can be pretty problematic in itself, because once you have a gun, do you know how to operate it? Do you know how to properly store it when it's not in use? Do you know what proper ammo to get?
Well, and like all the gear, where you can go,
right?
Because I know we were talking about we're planning on going out to the range, and I know there was like a list of things, and I was like, shoot, I don't have any of those. Of course, you have everything, but I was like, I don't have any of those.
See, well, we've been seeing a lot of people want to do like self-defense classes. We had one that was really successful, and I think that initially it started with that, like self-defense, like what if I get attacked, on the street? And it's kind of shifting now because it seems like the government is becoming more of a direct threat to people, and people are concerned about how they're going to be able to protect themselves from potentially like martial law, all of these things, So I think that it's really crucial that folks know all of these things. So I think it's great what you guys are doing, because there's so many things that like I don't know. My dad was law enforcement, and I still don't know all of the legalities of like the stand your ground, like all of those things.
Yeah.
So
well, I noticed that there once upon a time was a chapter here in Idaho, but it was all the way up in Moscow. And it hasn't been active in almost a decade. So as my fears grow, as I see my friends' fears grow, I went looking for basically an instructor to teach my little group. And then I found the Pink Pistols organization and their mission to make sure that our community is properly educated, not just armed, but educated. Armed, that's kind of an afterthought, quite honestly, to the group. We want to make sure that you know your rights when it concerns being armed or unarmed, assault, when it comes to your, like you mentioned, stand your ground laws. That's huge here in Idaho, castle doctrine. These are important things that you need to know, and where they could change, whether or not you can open carry. Like Idaho here is an open carry state. You can pretty much just buy a gun, wait 10 minutes and have it in your hand and walk right out the door with it in your hand. You don't really need a permit. It's very unwise to go just carrying it out in the open here like it is anywhere else. But we definitely have some people who are very proud gun owners here. Very proud. It's Idaho.
Yeah,
so.
right. Gotta take it to McDonald's.
Well, and the Pink Pistols is an LGBTQ focused group, right?
It is.
And can you tell a little bit of like why and how it got started?
Okay, a little bit of a history lesson. So in the year 2000, a journalist, a queer journalist for salon.com posted an article that outlines in less than like 10 years time that queer related anti-LGBT hate crimes that were at least reported to the FBI had more than doubled. So it was this very startling statistics at how quickly it grew over such a short period of time. It was just over 5 years. That there was this call to action within the article that we should arm ourselves. We need to take up a Pink Pistol operation, basically, moving forward. And these two friends, Liv and Cricket, they started a little gun club after reading this article. And after thinking about it, they had a couple of their buddies join, and they called themselves the Pink Pistols in honor of this article. And after about a year, it had more than 20 people in it. There was at least a dozen chapters in the nation. Since then, it's boomed. It became an international organization. I mean, I know that there's chapters in British Columbia. There's one in Amsterdam. They're all over now, which I was honestly surprised that Idaho, of all places, didn't have a queer gun club. So I formed one. It was pretty easy. I just have to rep it appropriately. They have their whole guidelines. They even have a legal department that I don't have to worry about.
Right.
But yeah, I put out the news to our local communities here, showing up to local groups, even going to the Facebook page. But it's pretty easy to join. Like, you don't even have to join the Facebook page. You don't have to show up to the meetings. You pretty much just self-declare. It's the same how you disband from us.
Right.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, we don't make you pay anything. We don't even require you to pay for pizza at our pizza parties. We want to give everybody the same opportunity to get the education that they need if they are going to arm themselves. We also want to offer other opportunities. I know self-defense was a huge thing. And while we're not really focused on like mixed martial arts and that type of stuff, because that's more of like an art form, we definitely promote self-defense courses, bodily self-defense courses. Even though we're a gun club, we really want to push the fact that going for your gun should be like the last resort. So we have things like right now we're getting a de-escalation course in the works. That way people who've never had that very volatile confrontation know what to do during those, not just freeze. what to do if it does come to the fact that you got to go for your gun. Like, what is the appropriate time to do that? Mostly it's about like learning to back off. I know this is very heated times. We've had a few of our sisters already act out very very appropriately to their rage. You know, one with a 50 caliber airsoft pistol and the other one with a Molotov cocktail. So we want to make sure that they know their rights as well when it comes to that. At least when they're here.
Do you see a certain demographic of folks that are kind of coming in or interested? Like, is there a trend, if you will, or maybe around a reason, even if not the type of person, but like.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Trans joy is resistance. Trans joy is community. Trans joy is here with our weekly social support group. Join us for a welcoming and affirming space where trans, non-binary, and gender diverse individuals can connect, share, and support one another. We will have peer-led discussions, social connection, and mutual support in a space where you can be heard, celebrated, and uplifted. No RSVP needed, just show up and be you. We'll gather every Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. at Roots Market. For more info, click on the link in our show notes.
So recently, with the launching of our Facebook page, we saw a lot of trans people coming in, rightfully so, especially with the new House bills that are passing and have passed. But we've seen a lot of, it's a mixed bag beyond that. We've seen a really good spectrum of people, from like people who don't really consider themselves allies but want that safe space and know that this is going to be a safe space to get that education, to like very well-known drag queens. We have people that are out there looking to fine-tune their skills, to people who have never even thought about getting a gun before. Yeah, we have some people who even have gun trauma that they're trying to get over.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
See, it concerns me because I know, like, even in some of the jobs I've had, and, you know, my dad being law enforcement, one of my knee-jerk responses was always like, well, I'll get a gun, or I'll just carry a knife, or I'll have a taser, whatever. But the things that we don't really think about, and maybe it's ego, is if we aren't trained to be carrying and, you know, operating these weapons, it is statistically likely that someone would turn them on us.
Well, like, you probably hurt yourself before you hurt another person, or worse, you could hurt someone that you love accidentally. Like, it's, yes, they are a weapon you can use to defend yourself, but they are so much more volatile than that simple sentence, right? So it's like when we do range days, we make sure that we reiterate, treat every single firearm as if it's loaded, right? Don't touch the trigger until you are ready to destroy something, right? And you better know what you're looking at. You better see what's in your surroundings. Safety is the biggest issue here. That seems to be something that is bypassed in that knee-jerk response, right? In the pursuit of security, we kind of bypass personal safety in a note or two, which is another reason why I wanted to make this, because even though I am the chair of the chapter, I'm still going through my journey of fine-tuning my skills. Like you, I pretty much grew up with guns. My dad had a bunch of them. We went shooting a few times, and he definitely imprinted the basics of safety, of firearm safety with me, which thankfully I carried on.
I grew up around guns, as in like we had lots of guns around that in the house. We went to Hunter's Ed when we were like 12 or 13. I'm not sure what age it was, so we could get our license. And but I don't know, like I liked target shooting, but like shooting animals and even just the idea of shooting people is like a whole another thing. And I don't personally have a problem with like people hunting and doing those sorts of things. I just, for me, have always just kind of not felt comfortable around guns. And as I've been an adult and had my own homes and my own places, I've just been very much kind of like a no gun kind of home. I remember I had an uncle who brought his handgun in one time, and I just was not comfortable with that. And handguns to me are like, they're only made to shoot other people. Like they're not, do you know what I mean? And so,
totally.
I'm personally, I would say I'm anti-gun for myself, but not for like people who know how to, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's just my own like fear and own, like I haven't taken the initiative to learn, to become comfortable, you know, all those sorts of things. I'm excited to go shoot with you all and like lean into that discomfort a little bit. But yeah, for me, it's always just been kind of I don't know if it's a fear. I don't know if I'd call it a fear.
It's
discomfort.
That's totally makes sense to me. And personally, when I was younger, like I couldn't have a gun just because of my mental health. You know, like it would have been a danger for myself, you know, just knowing in the back of my mind that like I had a gun, I think would have been deeply unhealthy for me. But, you know, in recent years, I've been fine with it. And now I see it as, and I've always seen them as like a tool, right? But my concern is like, I would want to do training on the interaction when you may have to like grab your gun or something, because my concern is that someone bigger than me would be able to overpower me and take the gun from me and then use it on me. And like same with like a knife. That was always the issue with like some of the more dangerous jobs that I've had. It's like, well, I'll just get a knife. My dad would be like, they would just take it from you. And that would be probably my biggest concern out of all of this stuff.
Well, like I said, we do offer this de-escalation thing, which I think that's really the first step, is while defending yourself in the moment of an attack is definitely an option. Sometimes the best option is to run away, to just get out of there. We always want you to be able to live another day, right? That way you can fight the good fight another day more. But really, when something like that would happen, we want you to be better prepared for it. We don't want that stunned kind of, oh God, it's happening type of response. That's why we're getting really in tune with our self-defense community here that's here, not just the MMA. We really wanted to get involved in people who definitely know how to use their weight, right? Or use their size, I guess. Because there's a lot of smaller members that we have.
Like
a lot of
jiu-jitsu.
Throwing your weight around, it's not just, Tai Chi, the ebb and flow of the human body, but you might actually learn how to throw somebody just with their own momentum.
Just leveraging their mass.
So these are things that we're definitely getting going in our group. We're still pretty new in the Valley. Like once this demand started growing, that's when we really started popping up.
We've heard, I mean, we get to talk with a lot of different people at different levels, and there are a lot of folks that are very scared of like violence, like physical violence, whether it's militias or the army, or that at some point in time things might get to that point. And so some folks, I think if you're in that mind frame and you're thinking that way, getting a gun and learning self-defense would probably help you feel probably a little bit better about the situation.
I definitely see a lot of people use it as like almost like a mental shield for themselves. It's like a protective thought. They have it.
It's like you have it in your back pocket if you need it. You maybe hope you never have to, but
which that's what we train you for. We hope to give you the education that if you absolutely need to go and grab that, you know what to do in that moment. Also, we also want you to know when you don't need it. Like walking away is a good option. We also have been discussing working with the Stop the Bleed to train people how to deal with what happens if you get shot. What happens if your friend gets shot when you're at a rally, at a pride event.
That's a really good idea to have like those. Like I would throw up. I know I would, but like the gauze that you can pack into wounds. And stuff.
Packing gauze. They have something that kind of looks like a tampon now that you kind of just plug in there. But we want to get people familiar with these things. We don't want it to just be this overwhelming. You almost said militia, but it's like some people seem to think that it's like we were just going to dump all of this terminology, training for war, and all of this, and that's not what it's about. No, we want to make sure that you are ready individually.
Is there like for folks who are like coming across this podcast and like maybe they never like follow up with you all, maybe they're not interested in getting gun, anything like that, is there any sort of information that you would think would be important for them to be aware of as somebody who maybe doesn't, or that might actually even convince them, not necessarily convince them, but have them think a little bit more about it?
Honestly, the internet is a wealth of knowledge and some BS too. But
so really just kind of learn.
Yeah. YouTube is a great area to learn about like how to properly hold it, what to do when you're at the range, what do they even shop for, going to a local club meet. If you don't want to come to ours, you can go to any other gun club that's in the area. You can even just roll up to a counter at like a gun store and ask some questions. Most of the interactions that I've had and our members have had going into stores and asking the retail agents has been nothing short of welcoming.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's very informative. And as long as we're going in there with the intention of, being part of the active society.
Yeah. I think that for me, because I have a couple guns, and I have for a little bit, but I think that the mindset has been shifting very recently, just with, getting harassed in public, by men that are way bigger than I am, hearing about other people in our community who are being, assaulted or approached and harassed in public. Like that's happening way more frequently. And then just the idea of how much people hate us right now. Like this, they're convinced that we're pedophiles, we're groomers, we're these sick perverts, and they're believing all of these things that they're being told from like this current administration. And it feels like we're walking around with targets on our back. So for me, the idea of even if someone finds out where I live and was to go to my home, and I, whatever happens, you still have to wait for the police to get there, all of this stuff. Like, what would I do? And I don't think that that's going to happen. And of course, we hope that that never happens. But the thought of like, well, what if it does, has been growing in my mind. And because of that, I've been getting a lot more proactive on these things, like making sure that I have my gun accessible when I'm at the house, because I want to be able to protect, me and my partner. And I think that that is going to only continue to grow in our community. And I think that is going to lead even more people to you. Even the people that are very hesitant and nervous and afraid of guns are starting to get to a point where they're like, I don't feel like I have a choice anymore.
Yeah. Luckily, we do have a lot of support here within our group. Like Treasure Valley has an enormous, well, I won't say enormous, a surprising amount of trans people here.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very glad to see that we're all sort of coming together like we should have before, but better late than never.
Yeah.
We have really good resources here. If you are really, really skeptical or even have, like I said, gun trauma, if you really don't want to learn in a group environment, maybe do it better one-on-one. Maybe you do it better with a visual learner, or like maybe you're more hands-on like I am. We have really good resources here in the Valley for that. And we have really good resources beyond too. The Pink Pistol organization itself is sister organization to something called Operation Blazing Sword, which provides LGBT-friendly instructors that can help you with like firearm safety, getting your CCW, getting your tactical training, even what's
CCW?
Excuse me.
Sorry, no.
Yeah, that's that gun club. So CCW stands for Concealed Carry Weapon.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Here in Idaho, we don't exactly have that. We can just sort of carry it around.
You can carry it around anyway, huh?
Yeah. It's not, like I said, luckily, most people are pretty astute, or they got two brain cells to rub together to make some common sense, right? So they don't bring it everywhere. They leave it at home, which honestly is where you should leave it until you absolutely need it. Safety concerns aside, the Blazing Sword operation is really, really nice to have because there's a lot of them here in Boise in the Valley, Meridian, Nampa. We really wanted to give them more of a platform to do their thing, since they are our brother operation. Right. We really wanted to give them the proper outlet for each of their specific little skill sets. I know that we
resource for our community
as
well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since we have people who are like they're independent firearm sellers. They're FFLs. Yeah. That's another one of those little terms, but they're licensed gun sellers. Maybe you don't want to roll up to Cabela's even. Maybe you don't want to roll up into, some place that has Trump flags just flying away. You can contact one of ours. Like, we've got somebody who's super safe, very much an ally, very, very knowledgeable about equipment. This next meeting that we have, we are going to be focusing more on equipment, what to look at when you go buying, right? What options are there? What if you're small? What if your hands are really big? What if you don't want to carry so much weight? What if you don't want something that's lethal? Right? And accessories and stuff like that, holsters, the like. We're doing that, I believe, not this weekend, next weekend. Yeah.
Well, okay, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
All right, so could you tell us a little bit about the Stand Your Ground and the Castle Doctrine? Just because I know that that's something that I think a lot of people have heard about, but I think that it's helpful to know just in the off chance that something was to happen.
Okay, for this, I'm going to need my little prop. I got that little pamphlet over there.
Just the pamphlet?
Just the pamphlet, yeah. So we do have these little pamphlets that we give out to all members. We also do give them out to the public at certain events. It's Know Your Rights pamphlet. It specifically goes over the Castle Doctrine and the Stand Your Ground laws. Let's see. There we go. So the Stand Your Ground and Castle Doctrine, it's an Idaho law that explicitly supports stand your ground, meaning you do not have to retreat before using force if you are in a place that you have the right to be, right? And that's becoming a shorter list for us, but we'll work with what we got. So the Castle Doctrine means that you can legally defend yourself in your own home, your own business, or vehicle if someone unlawfully enters with force or criminal intent, right? If you fear for your life, this is something that you have to clearly state in order to utilize those laws, right? You have to firmly plant your ground. You have to state very loudly, I fear for my life. Please do not come any farther, or I will use lethal force against you. I fear for my life, right? Their last-ditch effort to go away. If you are presumed to have acted reasonably, this is what this says, reasonably, if you use force against someone breaking in or trying to commit a serious crime against you, kind of the use of force, the deadly force statutes are in there. We want you to know that you can and can't do certain things within those laws. And while it says that you can stand your ground and attack anybody that you deem a threat, there are certain points they have to hit before you can hit, right?
Gotcha. So. And you said, and then there's the castle, something else. Is that part of the same thing?
It's
the castle what?
The Castle Doctrine.
Okay.
Sorry,
this is like new to me. So
That's all right.
That's like when someone is breaking into your house, right? Yeah.
So they're the same thing, or they're different?
They're different laws, but they back to back.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. So it's like if you're not at your house and you're somewhere where you are allowed to be, you should be, and someone is threatening your life, you'd be able to protect yourself with lethal force. Yeah, but then if they were like breaking into your house,
that's
the Castle Doctrine. Yeah. Which is good to know. I was talking to a really good friend of mine who is ex-military, and his advice for me on this was nothing is worth fighting for. Like, nothing is worth dying for. Like, the best response is to run, to flee, to get away, no matter what. And then he kind of got into like the only person who is going who fights fair is willing to lose. And I'm like, so he was telling me like, you gotta gouge their eyes out and all this shit. Like, okay,
man.
that's not what I'm asking about.
Hardcore.
But yeah, no, dude, this guy is super hardcore. But we were talking about gun stuff, and he said if someone was trying to break into the house or something, to go into the bedroom and kind of hide in a corner, shut the door, get 911 on the phone, put 911 on speakerphone, and then yell to the person like, I am in here, I am armed, 911 is on the phone, police are on their way. If you come in, I will use lethal force.
Absolutely.
And then that way you have all of your bases covered, because like you have the means to protect yourself. You've told this person, you've warned them, and it's being recorded by the police.
Cover your ass.
Mhm. Because I would be afraid of like the cops coming after me for defending myself, because like trans people and cops, that's
We've all heard those articles where it's like the victim all of a sudden gets jailed.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Well, that trans woman just got killed by the police in LA who
Yeah.
called to ask for help.
Yeah.
God, that's right.
And they shot her. This
Mhm.
was like a few months ago, but it's just kind of now
Yeah.
getting out into like mainstream media or whatever. But yeah,
I read about that. That's terrible.
very
It's all
much.
terrible.
It's like things have changed so much, because when my dad was highway patrol in the 70s, when they were trained, you weren't even supposed to touch your gun unless you were going to use it.
Yeah.
And now you look at police and they pull their guns on you for like just breathing on them. It's
Pacey.
ridiculous.
Oh.
Exactly. It's scary.
Yeah, I mean you have suicide by gun.
Yeah.
Or by cop. What do
By
they call
cop,
it?
yeah.
So suicide by gun.
Suicide-
Sorry.
suicide by cop.
Suicide by cop.
I knew what you meant though. So I was
Yes.
like, yeah.
It was like, I know that was like a thing that I heard a lot, and you kind of
Mhm.
still see a lot on the news.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And folks just going, oh, I know a cop will shoot me, so I'm gonna go cause a scene.
Yeah. Or they'll have like a toy gun and they'll
Mhm.
pull the gun. Yeah, that's really scary. It's just everything feels so much more threatening lately.
It
And
should.
it's exhausting.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, and it's every week there's going to be new lineup.
Mhm.
They have over 150 bills ready for this coming month alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there was 882 anti-trans bills in the United States and 25 anti-LGBTQ bills in Idaho so far as of like this week.
Mm-hmm.
And most of those are actually anti-trans legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're not done.
No, I think this legislative session is about to end, but I know that the next one is going to have even more extreme bills.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to urge everyone to get ready, to be prepared for it, and be ready to go to do whatever they can. If that's like go and give testimony, go give testimony. Be at the rallies, do whatever you can, because it matters that we show up.
Absolutely.
Even if it feels completely futile, it still makes a little bit of a difference. And we've seen that it was either HB 264 or 270, where it felt like they weren't listening to us at all. And it still passed, but they had to change it a little bit. And the changes that they made were from testimony against it. So like even little things, it helps.
Yeah. Well, it's boots on the ground.
Mhm.
Like, whether it's everybody doing their part, whether it's helping make sure that your neighbors are checked in on, right? Do a welfare check on your friends, your neighbors.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Are you able to feed yourself today? Are you able to get to your doctor's appointment today?
Mhm.
Are you able to afford your hormones?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just got on mine.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still feeling good about it?
Yeah, I feel really good about it. I have
Good.
bruises on my legs to prove it, but
Yeah, right.
but really glad about it.
I just can't get used to that.
Yeah.
The shots. But I'm not good with blood or needles, so my
Mhm.
partner has to give me my shots.
Hard same. For the longest time, I had to have my partner at the time sit there with the long needle and get me in the leg. I have this. I should have brought it with me. My little auto injector now.
Oh, yeah, you were
You
telling
just
us about
load that sucker up. I just pinch my belly, and that's the game.
Yeah, that
Oh,
looked
man.
that looked intense.
I
to
need
me.
that though.
Oh
Oh,
no.
it seems so much because it reminds me of I dated someone who was diabetic once, and they had like a pen thing like that, and it seems so much easier than the needle that's just very intimidating, and it makes me want to throw up.
For me, it's just kind of like, it's just kind of been, and maybe I've romanticized it a little bit, but it's just kind of felt like a rite of passage. And like as a trans girl and being like in the way that I have, I've only been able to access pills. And so for me, it feels like kind of like the next level, if you will, not that there's such a thing. And so I'm just excited about like kind of, I don't know, graduating a little bit, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
And it might, I know it doesn't quite like jive, right? Like it's problematic, but that's kind of my experience with it right now.
It's kind of like hitting puberty.
Yeah. It's feeling like and like for me, it's like I take the time, you know, I have to prep the area. And so there is like a little, my transness has always been a bit of a spiritual experience for me. And it's just almost like a ritual and a prayer to myself and my body. I don't know. It's very spiritual.
No, it's a really good way of doing it. We have a lot of dysphoria and quite honestly, a lot of self-hate in our community. Like we look at ourselves, our physical forms, and we're just instantly shut down from it. So any way to get that euphoric kick, that little bit of confirmation, especially from yourself, which is, we're always going to be the biggest critic we have. The opposition be damned, but
no, you're right.
That's a really good outlook on it. I'm glad you do that.
Yeah, it feels nice because I don't know if you know, but I had to go off for quite a few months. And so it's been nice to kind of like get back. And even when I went off, I thought like, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
But it does.
I'll be fine. But it did eventually get to me. Like people who are close to me could tell that like it was starting to affect me. And I even started to notice too. And I was like, oh, girl. I guess there was a part of me that thought that like somehow I was like, I don't know. It's like, yes, it's a challenge and yes, it's difficult, but I can do it. But it really did wear on me over time.
Yeah. I think that it was a testament to how important gender affirming care is to our well-being in general, with like
and
mental
life.
Health, because it seemed to get you just down in a way like you just, I don't know. It was hard to see because you were just so you weren't, I don't know, I won't say like depressed, but there's like that light in your eyes just wasn't there, you know?
You.
Yeah, my partner,
you weren't you, exactly.
My partner noticed it too. But I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really realize it either. But now that I'm back, and it's weird because it's not like being on hormones is like some physical like buzz. It's not like a drug you're taking,
right?
That sort of thing. Like it really is. I know when I first started, I was concerned. Like, I don't know if I could take these. They're going to make me euphoric and all this sort of stuff. And it's not euphoric in that way. It's just like, I know for me, it's like, it's kind of that spiritual, mental, physical aspect of doing something for my body. And I think for me, there is a part of my body that just starves for estrogen. Absolutely. And I need to feed it in order to feel, you know, good.
Yeah. I
feel better.
Think that's like a chemical alignment. Like I don't know y'all's personal story, but I knew I was different from a very young age.
Me too.
And it pretty much was like that all throughout my life. So it's like there was this imbalance, right? So when I started hormone therapy, it almost felt like things finally just clicked.
Yeah.
So it was just things calmed down. I was able to think clearly. I was able to get the confidence I needed. They don't understand too much about how good it is to feel like you are finally sitting still enough in your own skin to go out the door.
I mean, I survived outside of my body. I was just in my head. I was dissociated most of the time. Like I didn't even know what embodiment. I didn't even know what being in my body was really like until I started transitioning. And so I never really connected with that dysphoria or that idea that I was in the wrong body because I just never really lived in it. And it also caused me, I think, to do things with my body that I will not do today. Now that I'm living in it, I have a little bit more of a honor and there's a vulnerability that I feel that I've never felt before either.
That probably made going off of hormones that much harder. Like knowing what it felt like to feel so in your body and just and then having to go back to that probably was really unnerving.
It's like you don't know what you don't know, and then I got to know it.
I got taken away
for sure.
As we are seeing a lot of our trans community seeking other assistance through our group, but I noticed y'all have your monthly town meeting and everything like that. You guys offered this really nice platform for people who don't really know where to go in order to get any sort of assistance, whether it's food, housing, hormones, confiding in the community. Like it's really nice what you two have put together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We were really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I got my paperwork for a name change finally. It's still just sitting on my desk.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've like waited on mine because a passport would be different. Or
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like not fucking with things right now.
I kind of feel that way, but I'm taking a cue from our friend in the
Yeah.
weekly meeting. Like, I'm not gonna fuck with my passport. I'm not gonna fuck with like federal stuff, but with like my state, like I'll see.
Yeah.
I'll see, because I figure I'm already on their list.
No, I'm like,
you know, like they
the power
already
to
know.
people. Yeah, like
Mhm.
I would never get in the way of anybody's
Yeah,
wanting to do that. I just haven't felt comfortable, and it is a pretty penny.
it is.
There
yeah.
are. That's
Mhm.
one thing we did learn this weekend, that there are ways to
Mhm.
apply to get that waived.
Yeah,
One
they're-
through the courts, but also
Mhm.
the Imperial Sovereign Gym Court has a fund to help trans people. So folks have to put out the expense first, but they
Yeah.
can get
they
reimbursed.
get reimbursed
Nice.
up to it should cover a pretty decent portion of it,
Yeah,
because the initial filing is expensive, and then also running it in the newspaper for
It's
a
like
month
another
is like
$90.
$90. Yeah, which is so antiquated. That's so stupid that you
Yeah,
have to do that. Like someone, I just feel like there's going to be someone reading it that's just going to be like, absolutely not, and go to the
Yeah.
hearing. It's like, why do they even have to? I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything's
always
online
one.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, but in Ada County, we're pretty lucky. We have a judge. We have a system that's really supportive of trans people. So, and you never have to tell people you're trans and that's why you're changing your name.
Yeah.
You could give any reason you want.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really not that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about making a statement about being trans.
Right.
Though if you did, they would be supportive of that as well.
But if the SAVE Act goes through, I won't be able to vote because my name wouldn't match the name on my birth certificate. So, I know, right?
But
It's just
neither
like-
with most married women.
See, it's also
the problem.
that's part
Yeah.
of it. Like they're trying to target so many people with one bill.
Well, that's the thing, is they do these umbrella policies. Like, while the pistols aren't really here to talk politics, we definitely recognize that like our queer community are faced with these unreasonable amount of oftentimes umbrella policies that have broad brushstroke terms. They keep everything very vague that we always will pool into, right? Like the indecency laws that we just passed. But it's going to be something that we are constantly have to take a bite out of, right? It's eating that elephant, no
Right.
pun intended, but we just have to take one bite at a time, one policy at a time. Show up, do your testimony, be real.
Yeah.
They think that empathy is a joke. They think that being real is a weakness.
Yeah.
But we're learning that that's what people need right now more than anything else, is to see that we're real people,
Mhm.
that we're not this boogeyman that we're painted out as. That, quite honestly, if they've lied so much about other things, you have to, at least in your mind, believe the possibility that they lied about trans people too.
Exactly.
Which we're starting to see a lot of people start to turn on that opposition force and being like, no, we're starting to see that this is a fire that was lit on top of us.
Right.
Which a lot of our members are coming because they want to be better allies too.
I love that.
Which is, I'm absolutely here for that.
Mhm. Oh, totally.
As much as I want to take care of my own, we, like I said, need boots on the ground. We need to make sure that whoever is going to also pick up in arms, for our sake, at least, if not just for theirs, for our sake.
It's definitely thick in the community around safety. There's
Oh yeah.
some safety planning groups that are starting, like around LGBTQ folks, around safety planning. I know there's one coming up next week.
Yeah, we're going to be
And
there for
another
that.
one in like a week after that. And then I also know there's like, I've seen these like little, they're like little zines. I've seen them around.
Oh, I've
They
seen
have
those
some
too.
like
Yeah.
safety stuff or whatever. So
Good old
I
Boise.
think, I think like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it's something that just a lot of people, it's front of mind for a lot of people right
Yeah.
now.
Well, I mean, it's because they don't feel safe, rightfully so. We live in very volatile, unsafe times.
Mhm.
Attacks are up more than they've ever been. We're seeing just a really violent backlash without any opportunity for our say in the matter, right? Because that's not something they're willing to give us. So I'm glad that we're offering the space that people can come to feel safe, and more than that, be able to pick up the knowledge to protect others. It is so vital that we do that. Most of all, it's that we build that community within each other. It's not just about joining the gun club. It's about getting to know that we're here. If you need us, we are here. We are not a militia group, but if you need us in that regard, that we are here for, we absolutely have your back. While the group itself is its own little educational organization, a lot of our members are 100% willing to join other causes and have joined other causes.
I'm sure.
We had the land rally this weekend. I saw so many of our members there. It was really good to see that we're not just fighting for us, we're fighting for the collective whole, right? Because that tells me that they see the bigger picture. They know that it's not just us. Yes, we are currently on the front lines. We're the ones that are next on that chopping block. It's not just immigration. It's so much more than us. And I'm glad that people are starting to see that. Yes, it is going to be exhausting, press. Absolutely. I want people to know that they cannot despair in these times. Of all the times, please take a break. 100%. Get your breath back. Take care of yourself. Do a little bit of you time. Always come back to the fight, because it's always going to be here. It's been on since before any of us were even born. So it's like,
well, and it's such a great connection point just to get out of yourself or get out of, your home or whatever. And so I think to go to a group, whether it's the gun club or going shooting with some friends or whatever you're going to do, that's why I really love this too. Like, I might not be a gun person, but I know there are people that are. And my biggest thing is I want us to not isolate ourselves. Because that's a scary place for anyone, and especially for us. And so if we have a weekly thing we have to go to, or once a month kind of thing, that's something to look forward to. And that's something that can kind of get us out of that isolation, which is so important.
Oh, big time. Like, speaking from personal experience, after my bout of activism, I got a lot of public, we'll call it backlash. And at the beginning of my transition back then, it was pretty scary. Like, I was absolutely afraid of losing my home because I was pretty well known. My face was showing up on national papers. I kind of slipped into the background for a while and let the newer groups sort of catch their
stuff. What brought you out?
Quite honestly, the pistols. I've always really wanted to be back in the game, talking to people. I did public speaking for gender studies courses to get them more of a like straight from the horse's mouth experience from somebody who is who might be a bit more their style. I'm very heteronormative. I'm pretty basic, but I seem to speak through to other demographics that aren't in our community. So I did that for a little bit, and then I went back into hermitude, we'll call it, because it's very comfortable ignoring the world. It gets very easy. But now we're at a state where you can't ignore the world. The whole world is acknowledging that something is not right, that we're not right, not necessarily the trans community, but Americans here. So I wanted to give our community a little reprieve from that nice little safety pin.
I'm really excited that you came out and getting involved, and really excited to get to meet you. And I'm looking forward to shooting with you soon.
It's gonna be fun. In a couple days.
For folks in the podcast, we're gonna go out to the shooting range. We are gonna have a video on YouTube if folks want to check it out. We'll try to make it instructional to some degree.
I can only do so much, but
well, and you can only work with what you got,
right? We'll definitely go over range etiquette, what you should bring when you go to the range, what to expect if you find other people at the range who aren't too happy to see you. Luckily, our ranges are pretty welcoming. I mean, we all want to obey the rules. We all have our fair share of being there. And we also want to get you familiar with what you can do at the range.
Awesome.
It's going to be a riot. I think it's going to be really fun.
Bonnie, I think you're going to have a gas.
Yeah, well, I'm leaning into it for sure. Yeah, I
can't
try
wait.
to. Well, so I'm excited to just kind of check it out, try it
Yeah,
out.
that's the only range in Idaho that I've been to, actually.
Mhm.
We have quite a few around the valley because we're going to go out to the one on Southeast Boise. And then there's like Pickle Butte all the way out in Canyon County, which is like open 7 days a week. And,
Oh wow.
and then there's like, I believe Garden Springs has one just outside of town, but it's pretty exclusive. They have their own little gun club that they have. It's open to the public, but you have a fee. And then there's a multitude of inside ranges. Yeah, we definitely have quite a pick out here, luckily.
Yeah.
We know that Impact Guns, their indoor range is pretty friendly to the community. We have some of our own working there. So
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty nice to see that we're out and about, even in what usually is pretty hostile territory. Yeah, we still have our safe havens here. Yeah, this is Idaho.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody loves our guns out here. There's a select few.
Yeah.
That's it'll be entertaining, I'm sure.
Yeah, we have other things going on in the valley. Like we said, we show up at events. We're going to the safety meet that's next week. We have meetings twice a month now. We're definitely getting more numbers. We are just shy of 100 members this week.
Awesome.
And it's like we just launched most of our outside media 2 weeks ago. So we've seen such a huge push. We're also going to be showing up at we're going to be doing local trainings and everything that pretty much anybody can join. You don't have to be a Pistols member, but we do offer those courses.
Yes, awesome. And we'll be sure to put that in the show notes or in the description of the video, depending on where you're finding us.
Sweet.
But so folks can get connected with you.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming
thank you.
out
Thank
today.
you for having me.
Very
It's
informative.
a blast.
And
And it's such a beautiful day. Thank you.
Definitely. All right.
Hopefully it's good on Friday.
Yes.
Too.
Should we say goodbye?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. I'll see you. next
Bye.
week.
See you next episode.
Later, Chambers.
Big news, Boise. We're building something incredible. A private community for Trans Joy Boise is set to launch next month. This is your chance to sign up and get in on the ground floor. We are creating a space for connection, support, and growth, and we are looking for members who want to be a part of something special and professionals passionate about hosting webinars, leading in-person events, moderating discussions, and sharing expertise to enrich the trans community. If this sounds like you or someone you know, don't wait. Fill out our form located in the show notes and help us add value to this vibrant space before we officially open the doors.